So today, it is a new year, new you, and a new market. And, what we wanted to do is kind of dissect what we've been seeing since the start of the year. Once those calendars change from 23 to 24, everything changes. Everything. And I compare it to almost like one of those sci-fi movies where you're in the lab, and it's like this science lab, and there's this veil, and you walk through the veil, and like you're in like this whole new world, and it's like an Avatar world. And you're like, how did this happen? How did this just happen? Because we go from December 31st, it's doom and gloom. January 1st, everybody kind of goes in the weeds and hides, and then January 2nd happens, and the market takes off like a rocket ship, and it happens every year. And I tell people it's going to happen. Nobody believes me, and then it happens. We're like, holy crap, what just happened? So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what just happened. How did things flip so quickly? Now, we're not going to do the spring wave just yet. We're saving that for our next one. But right now, we're going to talk about 2024, what you're seeing so far. So, right now, am I seeing a spring wave? You're darn right I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a huge difference in demand. I'm seeing a huge difference in emotion. The way people are thinking right now is changing. We're seeing a huge demand in multiple bids, contracts, everything. Everything has changed. So, yeah, the wave is here. What am I seeing so far in the marketplace? And what are we seeing in showings? We're seeing a dramatic difference in showings. Let me put it this way, guys. In Q4, in October, we were averaging one showing a day on a listing, okay, on a weekday, and 3 showings a day on a listing on a weekend. We were averaging about 65-ish listings active on the marketplace in Q4. We normally have about 100 or so. In December, it started to pick up. We went from about two listing showings a day in December to about 4 to 5 showings a day on a weekend. Right now, right this second, so far, week 1, we are averaging 15 showings a day on our listings and 30 showings a day on a weekend on our listings. Okay, that's just on our listings. Our buyer showings are 4x, okay? Huge difference. So where am I seeing with showings? I mean, it's not even close. It's literally not even close. I mean, the phone is ringing off the hook. And that is what's going to be happening. And I've been telling people since summer of last year that I predicted that 24 would be as good of a spring market as 22. And I think that if this first week, this is January 9th, okay? I can't, by the time this gets published in a week or so from now, things can get even stronger. But I mean, you can't ask for a better start of the year. You literally can't. It's going to be insane, and ride it while you can, because I'm telling you, things will change as the year progresses. If you're a seller and you hear that this market's heating up, do you list this year or you hold for another year? I mean, listen, we can't completely predict the future, right? I love to use an example in January of 2020. I mean, nobody would have thought we'd be sitting around wearing masks for 3 years and then talking about COVID for our lives, right? So, what we have to do is just anticipate what's happening today and in the immediate future. And what we can say is that this spring market call to mid-June is going to be amazing. And if you want to sell, you may as well sell now. Who knows? In October, we could go to war with somebody and our economy can collapse and we go into a recession. Now your places were 20% less and you didn't even try to sell. Main thing is if you want to sell, put it on the market during the best season to sell. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, pull it, rent it, do whatever you can, but at least give it a shot. Because we can't predict 2-3 years from now. We could tell you where we think the puck's going to go, but every now and then it's not going to go where we think it's going to go. So I would definitely give it a try. Will rates continue to drop during the year? And if so, should I wait? Rates will continue to drop. It's an election year. I told everybody they would get to 5.5 to 5.9%. We're literally on exact pace for that right now. And in fact, it's probably going to go even lower. This is going to be a brutally bloody election. I don't give a shit about anything else, about what the financials look like, about what's the possibilities to do it. You can tell me it's not politically related. I think you're an idiot if you think that. Everything is politics. Everything's going to change with the rates to try to make the market look as good as possible to get some votes. I don't care which side you sit on. I'm not telling you which side I sit on. I'm not telling you care which person you vote for. All I can tell you is that the rates will continue to drop, and I wouldn't wait, okay? Because the reality is, buy now, refinance later. Who cares about your rate? I own a crap ton of real estate. I don't even look at rates. It doesn't matter to me. Because rates change every couple months. But let's just put this example, guys. I could have bought in October if I was a buyer, got a way better deal than I'm going to be getting in February. I got an 8.5% rate in October, and then in February I'll probably get a 5.5% rate. That's a few months. So now I pass up on maybe a $50,000 savings on a property for, let's face it, because you don't pay your first month. So, my first month payment didn't start till like end of November. So November, December, January, February, for 4 months of payments, of like an extra 2%, which probably equaled out to be like what, maybe $1,000. Like think about it like that. This always says, like, let's actually break down the numbers. Does it make sense to wait? No. I'll refinance whenever the rates drop. Doesn't matter to me. I personally could care less about rates. I think if you're only worried about rates, that's the worst way to look about buying a property. And I know somebody out there is going to comment saying like, that's stupid. Easy for you to say, no, dude, just look at the rate charts. They go up and down, especially in the last couple of years. It's like a roller coaster ride. Who cares about trying to predict it? Just buy when you want to buy and then refinance once the roller coaster drops. Let's see here. What about the condo issues? In 2024, we're seeing a lot more associations have problems with lenders. So we're going to bring a lender on to talk about some of this, but there's been some rules have changed since the start of the year, which have been denying a lot of condos lately, specifically older condos that have had some issues. So yeah, we're going to get more in depth in that in the next couple of weeks, but we are seeing some big changes and something that, you need to be working with a qualified professional about to tell you kind of, what things to be aware of when you're buying, condos in certain high rises. What kind of, or how does inventory seem right now? Does it seem low or high? Right now, it is low in the outskirts, and it's high in the high-end luxury market downtown Chicago. See, essentially what happens is, as we enter fourth quarter, okay, inventory is here and demand is here, okay? And then all of a sudden, as we get closer to Christmas season, people are like, I got people coming over, family, I'm traveling, I don't want people in my house. Let's pull the property off the market. So inventory drops like this, okay? And it kind of hangs out here, okay? So you got inventory here, demand here. And then January 2nd hits, and every buyer comes back from holiday like, oh yeah, new year, new me, I want to buy. Or they're talking to parents, and parents like, hey, you got to stop renting, we'll help you buy. Or people who are on the rent cycles, people's leases are up in March, April, May, first part of June, they get that notice from their building the first couple of weeks that we got to know if you're staying and going, like, oh crap, I got to buy. So January 2nd hits and demand goes, phew, and inventory remains here. And the problem is that as new inventory keeps coming on the marketplace, it keeps getting shut down because demand keeps growing. So this is where we're at right now. And, inventory right now kind of feels like Nordstrom Rack, where you got a lot of stuff that's kind of been picked over. There's a couple good finds, but everything kind of like people have kind of seen. And then when a new property comes on the market, it's like a lion jumping on a gazelle and it sells in a day. And then the consumer's like, what's happening? Why are these things moving so quickly? Well, you have to remember, guys, there's been a lot of buyers that have been waiting since October, November, and December. So you got 3 months of backlog buyers waiting for new inventory to come on the market. So the second it hits, they pounce on it. So you just got to keep that in mind. Will we see a housing freeze? So 2023 was the year of the housing freeze. In 2023, the reason we saw the housing freeze is because the average American was locked in, actually 98% of Americans were locked into a 3% or less interest rate. So a lot of people were frozen in their houses like, hey, what's my motivation to sell, to buy up, to go get an 8% rate, to pay an all-time high for a property? I think I'm just going to keep it. So that kept inventory down, which made sales be almost down as much as 30% in the city. This year, I do not think there's going to be a housing freeze. And if the first week of the market has anything to show for it, we won't see it. Because what's happening now is like, now people realize that, listen, and I'm really happy for what happened in October, because people now realize like, hey, rates are never getting back down to 3% in the foreseeable future. And when they hit 8%, they're like, 6% sounds pretty damn good right now, right? People got to remember that average American interest rate is 6.5%. So with the rates dropping below 6%, which they darn well will, it's going to take a lot of people who were sitting on the sidelines last year to want to sell. And at the same time, a lot of buyers that were sitting on the sidelines are like, I'm waiting for the rates to drop. It took them a full 18 months because let's face it, rates have been kind of up that high since October of 22 for them to realize that, it's not going to happen. It's like when I compare it to buyers who watching a stock to I know Apple's going to get back to 1980s pricing. I'm just going to keep waiting for it. And after a bit, they're like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. So they buy into the marketplace now. So I do think that we will not see a freeze, and the market is specifically showing us it 1 week in. So I do think that we're going to have a gangbusters market. What's the hottest price point so far? We're seeing stuff $500,000 and under in the outskirts. $500,000 and under, that is the hottest market, okay? That is where you're really tied to the rent cycles. You got a lot of people on these March, April leases that are starting to sweat because, we're about to be coming up fast on halfway through January, and there is no inventory in the marketplace there for them, and they're sweating bullets. So when something comes up there, those are moving fast. So if you're a buyer looking for $500,000 and under in the outskirts, you better jump on it. If you're a seller, get it on the market, because I'm telling you, we're going to start seeing different waves of inventory come, and once more inventory comes, there's going to be less demand for your particular product. How's the luxury market doing? Depends on where you're looking at. The outskirts, it's starting to pick up. The downtown market, it's dead. So, a lot, when I'm talking about the hottest markets, doing really well, or the market's doing really well. If you're a seller and you got like a penthouse in Streeterville or River North or Gold Coast and it's above like $1.5 million, like, not yet, guys, not yet. Okay. I got a lot of clients too. Like, should we list? Like, end of January. You got to remember, like, a lot of people are just getting back from holiday that have a ton of money. Okay. And they're just starting to settle in. And now they're going to start looking soon. End of January, beginning of February. That's when you come on if you have a luxury market. Luxury market's definitely not doing great today. It will be doing good. But right this second, I wouldn't say it's hot. I would say it's balanced, slight edge to buyer still, right this second. That's going to change in 2 weeks. It's going to be seller's market in 2 weeks from now, for sure. Not downtown, but for most parts of the city. Are we seeing the downtown showings pick up? We've moved quite a bit of downtown listings already this year. I would say it's better at this time than it was last year, but it's still crap. I mean, we still have 6.5 months of inventory. The biggest problem for the downtown market is the crime. Crime's been the biggest issue, and the lack of RTO, or return to office. We need those two issues to go down for the downtown market to improve. That's just the God honest truth. That's the reality of life. Until that happens, the downtown market's going to continue to struggle. I still think we're 18 to 24 months away before the downtown market officially comes back, but I think we're getting close. How does the market change from spring or from the beginning of the year to spring? So I will say that, like, we are going to see a gangbuster year from January 2nd till the end of May. Once we hit June, the market's really going to start to shift. And by like end of June, the market's going to die very quick. I think end of June till November is going to be like '08 bad. I think, honestly, so like September, October, November of 23 were terrible. Terrible. Any agent that's like, I crushed it on there. No, you didn't. I mean, I just look at the stats. I just look at InfoSparks. First off, I finished number one in almost every one of those months. It's not one, number two. So it's something in the top three, we'll call it, in every single one of those months. And I had a terrible month. And if anybody beat me or anybody came right below me, we all had terrible months. Look at. Here's the thing. Anybody says, I had a great month. Look at October's closings, okay? And then look at like April's closings and look at the difference in numbers, okay? Yeah, you crushed it in April. You didn't crush it in October. Maybe you survived in October is the best way to put it. So we're going to see, and the reason I'm using an example is because like what we're going to see is like in October, and this is an actual stat, is October was the lowest amount of deals pending in American history. October was the lowest amount of deals pending in American history. And January is gangbusters. That's 60 days. How's that happen so quick, right? Everybody's like, how do you think the market's going to change so quick, Matt, by like mid-June? Why do you think that'll happen? Look at what happened in 60 days, guys. It's going to change fast. It is an election year. As we get closer to the election, it's going to be super bloody. You're going to say, if so-and-so wins, the world's going to end. I'm moving out of the country. Your parents are going to tell you this. Your friends are going to tell you this. And you know what you're going to do? Whether you believe it or not, you're going to be like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hearing a lot of negativity. I'm just going to stay put and see how these things go. Real estate's a stock, guys. It follows the stock market, and the same trend's going to happen. So pay attention. If you're a seller and you're thinking you want to list in June or July, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table. And if you hire me in July and like, I want February price, and be like, listen, here's my podcast that shows you how I knew this was going to happen. What are the major dates to watch for inventory? So inventory comes on waves. I compare it to like war. The first wave is right after the first year. We send in their troops. We let them see where the enemy positions is. We pretty much sacrifice these people. The second wave of troops we send in is pretty much right after the Super Bowl. We send them in. We really fortify where the enemy is. We start having them dig the trenches. They get wiped out, but like they're needed. And then our wave to take over the territory is spring break. That's when the major wave of inventory comes in. That's when we go in there and we take over and we take the troops. So that's the waves of inventory that's hitting the market. I like comparing it to that way because it's a good way to put it. Like this first wave is gone. These guys it's going to get snapped up right away. Second wave is going to be pretty substantial, but we're going to see mass casualties. These houses are going to get wiped out very quick. And then when spring break hits, if you're a spring break seller, you have to know is that like now I got a lot more troops with me, and it's just going to take a while to get rid of all of us. It's not going to be as fast. But the first 2 waves are going to be there. And if you're a buyer wondering like, hey, when's I'm going to see more inventory? You can start seeing it peppered in now. You can see it the day after Super Bowl, and you can see it on spring break. Those are your major dates. After that, it's going to be Memorial Day and then July 4th. Humans use holidays as target dates. Okay, we always need target dates, checklists, etc. So those are going to be the big waves of inventory. Who are our new team members? So for this year, we got a few new team members. One is Justin, another one's Katarina. So we finished last year with 3 people less than we had for the past 3 years combined. So we added a couple people because we knew that this year would be busy, and we're excited. We'll be introducing them on my personal Instagram page. So pay attention if you want to know more about them. They'll be in some of our videos. What's my prediction for the spring market sentiment and the hottest neighborhood? So I think the market's going to be hot. I think it's going to be gangbusters. I think it's going to be amazing. I think the outskirts are going to greatly overperform the downtown markets, and I think the suburb market's going to be on a different level. At this point, we don't work the suburbs, but stay tuned for some big announcements on that. But in the meantime, on the outskirts, we're probably going to see, I think, we'll hover around 1.2 months of inventory. And I think the downtown markets will probably hover around 5 months of inventory. So both those numbers will be better than last year. And I do think that we're going to see a lot of demand. I think it's going to be overall a good market. It's going to be competitive. So strap in and get ready. How do I think the rest of the spring's going to go? Just like I said, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good spring market. This is a good example to give you a quick idea of like, hey, here's exactly where the market is. But I'm telling you, stay tuned for our Spring Wave podcast where we really break down neighborhood by neighborhood what we're seeing and the exact amount of demand and listings that we have that are coming up and how fast they're going down. So that's all we got for you so far, guys. Thanks for listening to Laricy Live.